This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, Rally? I'm happy to be back in the mess hall with you, man. How you doing?
Ted. We got a new opponent, brother. Those Indianapolis Colts. And we have an opportunity to go 500. Let's get it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this game, but for other reasons, because, I wanted Carson to get out to Indy and just shut Jim Irsay up. Now I just want the team to shut Jim Irsay up. And I can't wait for Sunday to hopefully get back to 500, and we'll break down the game and go from there. But I meant to tell you, man, for alumni weekend, the team actually had pretty much all of the alumni park over by my tailgate. They actually tried to block my tailgate off, and I had to stop them. But they had all the guys parking out there. So I got to see Kedrick Golston. I haven't seen Ked in a while since maybe the name changed. But I got to see our boy Will Montgomery, who joined us and actually just did our intro. And Will wanted me to tell you what's up.
All right. What's going on, Will? I'm sorry that I missed you, bro. I mean, I did make my way to the tailgate, but by the time I got there, man, it was in full swing and everything was chaotic. And actually, I did see everyone basically walking from your tailgate over toward the buses. So, I tried my best to stop in, but hey, man, I'm only one person. I can only do so much.
Oh, yeah, man. It's always a mess on tailgate day. And then you add in all the alumni parking there. A bunch of people were pissed off. Like, why didn't you tell me they were coming and parking here? I would have brought helmets and footballs for them to sign. Like, I just found out at 7:30 that morning. So, and the last thing they want is to get bombarded in the parking lot when they actually got to be inside someplace and do stuff. But it was good to have Will stop by, got to hang out, meet the family, and finally feed him this time since he did our show last time without me having to send him a brisket.
The good old brisket. See, you're getting me hungry, man. Don't do that to me, Ted. You're getting me hungry, bro.
And for those who are wondering, it's actually Wednesday, the 26th at 3:35. So hopefully we'll get a nice dinner after the show. But before we get this thing started, it reminded me, man, I should have actually brought a jersey out to try and get signed when I met Doug Williams last week, because I actually have a Doug jersey, and we got the Woodbridge Collectibles hookup, and I completely slept on it. And I'm kicking myself right now because I know those guys got a special deal right now with framing going on.
Well, see, the thing about it is, Ted, it's just not with sports jerseys. I mean, that's another thing that people need to understand. I mean, they cover the whole gamut, whether it's, pictures, art, whatever you need done. I mean, they can do it. So give those guys a look. I mean, we wouldn't be pumping these guys if they were second rate. They're first rate. And all this next month, they're going to be running 20% off. Actually, from now until the end of next month, 20% off. Just mention DMV Mess Hall, and you guys are going to get first class work.
Yeah, man. And one of our listeners, Troy Dodd, actually met the Woodbridge Collectibles guys at a CSA show this past weekend. And Troy sent me a text saying, man, Rudy and those guys are awesome. I was like, yeah, we've been preaching it. We've been talking about it. So I'm glad that he got a chance to meet him in person. And part of me wants to, and Heineke, a couple of pictures of my stuff that Woodbridge Collectibles did for me, because typically the players exchange jerseys after a game. He actually kept his jersey for himself, and he wanted to frame it because he beat Green Bay, the team he grew up watching. So I wanted to take Taylor, give those guys a call, man. Mention DMV Mess Hall, and they'll probably get you a discount on your framing, but I'm sure you can afford it because I saw that bonus check you got for getting that dub the other day.
Hey, man, I never want to get inside of somebody's pocket, but you're right, bro. Anytime he wins, that's right. The ball 25. I mean, man, let me get some of that.
Yeah, man. Did you see the new Jordans he wore today during his press conference?
No, I didn't. I missed it.
Yeah, he had his brand new Green Bay Packer colored Jordans that he wore. So for those that don't know, whenever Taylor, it's written into his contract, plays 60% of the snaps and actually gets the W, then he gets a bonus of $125,000. The next day, he goes and buys a pair of Jordans in the color of the team that he just beat. So I'm hoping next Tuesday, he's going to be buying a pair of Jordans looking like the Indianapolis Colts, and he'll be sporting those at the next press conference next week.
Well, I hope that check didn't. Never mind. Yeah, we hope that he does sport it, brother, because I want to see it, and I'm sure that he's a listener. And Taylor, go ahead and get that jersey to Woodbridge Collectibles so that everyone can see their work. Because let's face it, man, people don't realize, or you don't know what you don't know. And before you, I didn't really have a huge notification or knowing of Woodbridge Collectibles. But now that I do and I've seen their work, I'm hooked, bro. So it just takes one to teach another one and to teach another one. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, man. Word of mouth, and from people you trust. So give those guys a ring. But we want to jump into the show this week. And first, we want to start it off by saying, prayers going out to the Rivera family. Not exactly sure what's going on, but Coach Rivera was not with the team today. He flew out to California to attend to a personal matter that was in regards to his mother. So don't have any details other than that, but Jack Del Rio took care of practice. Jack did a good job in Rivera's first year when he was going through his cancer battle. So I know Jack did a good job today at practice, but I have my comments about Coach. I'm not the biggest fan of him in regards to his roster management, this and that. You take all that stuff aside, we're talking about real life. So we're just sending out prayers to Coach and the family and hoping that everything's okay. He is scheduled to fly back to Virginia tonight. So, obviously family's first, but Coach, we are thinking about you.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We really are. And our prayers go out to him. I always wondered, so when situations like this occur, and we know it's a part of life, things do happen, what jet does he fly? Commander's One? Or does he have his own private jet?
So the team Dan has his own jet, and Mrs. Snyder has her own jet.
Right.
So it wouldn't surprise me if the team sent one of their jets out there for him to use. I mean, he is your coach, and they do send that out. I remember they used it one time when I want to say it was maybe Ricky Jean-Francois or one of the other guys flew to Haiti with a bunch of relief supplies when they got hit.
Yeah, Pierre Garçon, Ricky Jean, they had water, they had all kinds of crazy stuff in that jet. I didn't think that jet could hold all that stuff they had, but yeah, man, they had a lot of stuff and supplies for that hurricane after it hit.
I've seen it before. I've been in it, not officially invited on it, but I've actually been in it, and it is pretty badass, man. It's been a long time since I was on that thing, and the person that basically worked the hangar invited me to it because he knew I was such a huge fan. And I hope this doesn't get back to the team, but that guy doesn't work there anymore, so I don't really got to worry about him getting fired. But I took a picture with me in it, and it is awesome.
Well, for the team members that are listening, give Rally and Ted a tour. We'd be great. Much appreciated.
Man, I would love a ride to Indy because I'm kicking myself right now for not being able to make that trip. I decided Chicago, and I should have decided Indy because I'm seeing just basically everything our boy Tim Meek is doing out there for the rally and everything else and the tailgate. And that's one I'm really going to be upset about missing. So if the team does have room on a jet, you let me know. I got my ID to go through TSA. I got pre-check, so I can make it through no problem.
Oh, believe you me, you wouldn't have to go through TSA pre, all right? They'll bring you right around the back gate, open it up, let the security guard check your doggone credentials, and walk right onto the plane. Now, that's one thing that I have done. I have taken a private plane once before, so I know about that. Nothing team affiliated for all you haters out there who think that I'm riding with the team and all the other nonsense you guys come up with. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to do that at least once in my life, so I'm happy about that. But man, so you're right. You did drop the ball, bro. And I'm gonna say that because Terry's family is potentially going to be there. I mean, everyone is going to be there. All of our Midwest friends are going to be there, and you're going to be back here, bro. Come on, Ted. Pull a rabbit out of the hat and join us, man.
I know. And one of the people from my tailgate crew is driving out there. Now, granted, she didn't offer for me to jump in the car with her, so I gotta, see what that's all about. But I'm just hoping you guys do some videos and take a ton of pictures and have a ton of shots for me, and you come back with that dub. That's all I care about.
All right, bro. All right.
But speaking of things to care about, the Commanders did have practice today, and there were a couple surprising people that did not practice. Cole Holcomb was out with a foot problem. And granted, it's only Wednesday, and things can change, but he was a DNP with a foot. Sadiq Charles was out with an illness, and hopefully he's okay. Not sure if he had something spicy or something bad to eat at Logan Thomas's Halloween party this past Monday that he always throws. But that meant Trey Turner was in, which scares me. Forget Halloween. Talk about scary just seeing Trey Turner on the field. So Cole Turner didn't practice. He's got a concussion. So he's not going to be back. He's in protocol. William Jackson III didn't practice. Thank God. Happy about that one. And Jahan Dotson missed practice with a hammy. And a lot of people are saying they doubt Jahan's going to be back this week. From my standpoint, a soft tissue thing like that, I don't want to see the young man out there until he's 110% clear to go.
Wow. That's 3 games for the youngster. But I mean, I understand. I do understand, but gee. Ugh.
It is. And he practiced last week, and then there was a throw that he had during the media session where he pulled up limp. And that basically, who knows how much it set him back, but fingers crossed he's going to be okay. Good news, though, is Logan Thomas was a limited participant. And that's huge considering Cole Turner is down right now with a concussion. So not saying Logan's going to play, but he at least participated. De'Ami Brown was also limited, which it'd be nice to have him back out there. And Sam Cosmi was a full participant with that big old club on his thumb.
Yeah.
Do you remember John Jansen?
The name, yes. Yes.
Or he was a tackle, Michigan Wolverine. He was on the other bookend with Chris Samuels, was out there. Remember when John broke both of his thumbs on his hand and he still played?
Yeah, because it looked like he had big boxing gloves on his hands. And they were like, can you really practice and play like that? But yeah, he was able to do it.
Yeah. And, it just, not saying Cosmi is soft by any means or trying to compare the injuries. I just remember as a longtime fan of this team, I know a lot of our listeners are, John played with 2 broken thumbs. Cosmi, you got 1. We might need you out there. Might be good to have you back, especially if something goes on with Sadiq or something else. He was available during the Packers game on the sideline in an emergency. It would be nice to see him as a starter because he's better as a tackle than who we've got out there filling for him now.
Agreed. And like Jahan, though, I mean, if he's the no-go, we don't want him to get him out there to possibly prolong that injury. So hopefully he can see how it goes, and maybe we'll see him, maybe we won't. But we gotta make do with what we do, man.
It's a thumb. He's not hitchhiking anywhere. He should be fine. But no, I agree with you, man. We got to see. Obviously health is more important, but it's a thumb, man. If anything, it'll stop him from holding. It should be okay. But JP Finley met with Ron Rivera this past Monday, and Coach said that he expected Chase Young's clock to start this Wednesday because he got seen by Dr. James Andrews this past week. Well, that kind of changed. This is Jack Del Rio talking about the latest on Chase.
Chase wasn't in uniform today. I was just wondering, what's the status, plan, update with him?
Chase Young? Yes. Yeah, he's working hard. He's close. I know he's scheduled to meet with the doctors, and until he's cleared, we're just rooting for him. But he's doing a great job working hard and keeping his spirits high and staying involved mentally and being very engaged. And so, but that until he gets the clearance, it's just a wait and see.
So we were hoping his clock would start because then that means he can officially start practicing with the team. Looks like that didn't happen. The team is saying it's not a setback, so don't start freaking out. They just want him to see the doctor one more time, at least, to get another evaluation before they decide to make a decision on him. So we're definitely not going to see Chase this week. And we weren't going to see him this week anyway, even if they did activate him.
So when you say not another opinion per se, but just another crack at it from Dr. Andrews, is that what? Okay.
Yeah, with the same doc.
Yeah, I was going to say I couldn't see them going out to another doctor since he's been a guy who's been in the middle of the rehab with everything going on.
Now, it's weird that Rivera told us on Monday that he should be activated. Well, to me, what happened between Monday and Wednesday morning? And they said it's not a setback. And I believe them that it's not a setback. It's just, we talked in an earlier pod. For those that want, you can go back and listen. The entire catalog's there if you're just catching up to the show for the first time. But less is more sometimes, because you got fans and you got people and you got media that are getting their hopes up. All right, Chase potentially can start coming back over the next 3 weeks. And now it looks like that's going to be another week. And it just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing itself down the road. And we want him, just like we want Jahan, back at 110%. If he is not a full go, we don't want him to start tweaking things and then injure something else. It makes me wonder if Logan Thomas wasn't 110%, because he's been out with a calf. And was he trying to overcompensate and then he injured his calf at that point? So the team is doing okay without him right now. So just take all the time you need, young man, and they'll be ready for you. And the fan base will be ready for you when you're 100% healthy.
Oh, the fan base is definitely going to be ready for him. 100%, no doubt about that. The biggest thing is sometimes, like you said, less is more. And when you say the things that you say, you can tell me not to think anything otherwise, but that's the first thing your brain does. You think otherwise. Oh, yeah. So, don't tell me not to do that, because I just did it. So he just should have said, hey, you know what? The doctor's sick this week, and so we're going to let him see the doctor next week when the doctor's okay to see him. I mean, how about that? Instead of saying he didn't have a setback, put it on the doctor,
Yeah, it was a bank error. No, just say it was an error. I'm just, less is more. Sometimes you can be too many details, but we'll move on. I don't want to piss him off anymore. I already have the past couple of weeks. But we've won 2 games in a row now.
Yes, sir.
And from a NFL power rankings perspective, we were 30th, but we won 2 games. We beat the Packers. The Packers were in the high teens. So where do you think we went to from an NFL power rankings perspective?
Well, okay. Yes, we did beat the Packers. I think we probably, you said we were 30 last week. So
we were 30th last week, which feels like an age ago.
Yeah, it does. I'll say 28. And I say that because we beat the Packers, but we didn't beat them like you beat somebody who you're mad at. Truly beat them down, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
So I'm going to probably say 27-28.
I don't know how you missed on your Heineke bet, man, because you get these right all the time. I would have, when you were texting me back and forth, I thought that was a lock, because you're spot on with this. The Powerball is up to 700 million right now.
And I did play that.
Okay. I told Mrs. Tailgate to go get a couple tickets before she comes home today. That and some Thai food. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping for the Thai food and the Powerball maybe, but I never win that dang thing.
No.
But yeah, man, you're spot on. It says here, how about we dole out some deserved love to the eternally overlooked Terry McLaurin? The 4th-year wide receiver hasn't been given much of an opportunity to fill up the box score this season, but he stepped up huge in Washington's 23-21 win over the Packers. McLaurin hauled in Taylor Heineke's go-ahead touchdown pass in the 3rd quarter before essentially sealing the game with 2 massive first-down receptions on the Commanders' final possession. Consecutive victories have put Washington back in the mix. Style points be damned. You can win pretty. You can win ugly, Coach Ron Rivera said post-game. If you're going to win ugly, who cares? And I'm right there with you. A dub is a dub. It doesn't matter to me how it happens.
Right.
No one's going to look at the end of the year how you won that game. It's just, do you have enough wins to get in the postseason dance? And if we can have enough wins to do that, then I could care less if we beat the Packers 23-21 or 23-22 or whatever the hell it came down to. Exciting thing is, we did move up a couple of spots, but for me, this is still disrespect. This is still bulletin board material that if I'm a coach, I'm using this to motivate my team. I'm using this to say, hey, we beat Green Bay, who is a good team, regardless that they're banged up. It's still Green Bay, and they're only giving us up 2 spots. So not that this team needs any more motivation, but it's nice to know that we can still play that underdog card and that underdog story and ride that just along the way that Taylor's been riding his underdog story this entire time.
Well, I'm going to ride it in Indianapolis, bro. And I hope
to rubbing it in.
Oh no, man, not against you, man, not against you, but I am going to ride that underdog mentality into Indianapolis, and I'm going to talk cash, trash, and do everything from the fan side of things to my best ability to root those guys on so they can feel good about themselves. But let's face it, they feel good about themselves. We're on a 2-bender, so hopefully we can go on a 3-bender and come home with the dub. Like you said, it doesn't matter if it's pretty or if it's ugly. The fact is, you got it, and that's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, one game at a time. Let's just figure this thing out slowly but surely. Get back to 500, hopefully this week, and then just go from there. The Colts are kind of oddly punting away the season. They benched Matt Ryan. They basically threw Matt Ryan under the bus worse than Jack Del Rio did to Jameis this season. And Matt Ryan has a shoulder injury. So came out that he was being benched for Sam Ellinger. And then they came out and said, we're benching Matt, not because of the injury or anything else. Sam's starting. Basically, he's sitting for performance. It was just such a weird, I guess, just turn of events with the Colts. Their number 2 is Nick Foles. Well, they completely jumped Nick Foles for Ellinger, who is unplayed, not a rookie, but he hasn't actually played a single down. He was a 6th-round pick in 2021. Where do you think that actually put the Colts from a power rankings perspective? They're 3-3-1. They were 21st. So I know you don't watch a ton of Colts games, but just knowing that they're going from a Matt Ryan to a kid that's never thrown a ball in his entire NFL career, where do you think that moved him to?
I probably moved him up a little bit to, or down, however you want to look at it, to probably 24 if we're 27.
You're close. You're close. They actually dropped 5 spots to 26th. So the fact that they're 26th and we're 28th, to me, that's just more bulletin board. And it says here, Andrew Luck to Jacoby Brissett to Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan to Sam Ellinger. In a stunning turn of events, the Colts announced Monday that Matt Ryan will be benched for the duration of the season in favor of Ellinger, a preseason superstar with 0 career starts. Ryan certainly earned a benching with his laden turnover-prone play, but parachuting out of the latest expensive veteran quarterback gamble after just 7 games begs some very important questions about who is actually running the show in Indy. It goes without saying that both GM Chris Ballard and Coach Frank Reich stand on very shaky ground. And I love this. The Colts have done nothing but talk trash about Carson since he left, since they traded him to us. Yeah. So to see that this gamble that they played with Matt Ryan has just completely blown up in their face. The fact that they are 3-3-1 right now and still in second in their division, they're literally just punting the season away for an unknown kid that hasn't done a single thing, who was a 6th-round pick. I don't get it, but I'm happy about it.
Well, see, I got to tell you, man, first I'll say if Carson was playing, Ryan would be playing. I honestly believe that. I think they really wanted to see those guys head up. But now that Carson isn't there, that little oomph is gone away. But don't sleep on Ellinger, man. Don't sleep on that kid. I'm a University of Texas Longhorn fan. A lot of people know I spent a lot of time in San Antonio. All right. So even at one point in time, this is off the bar a little bit. Being that I played high school football, it was a requirement that I had to like the Longhorns and that blue and silver team, believe it or not. So, but I was
What?
young.
Whoa. You gotta backtrack there. Did you just say what I think you just said?
You heard it right, bro. You heard it right. Hey man, I had a coach. I had a coach, man, that those were the two teams that you had to like. You had to like the Longhorns and you had to like the doggone Dallas Cowboys. And if you didn't like them, your starting time, he was one of those type of coaches. So, you had to watch them. You had to come back on Monday school and talk about them. So just for that little bit of time, because I was in Texas and couldn't make my own decisions being in high school, hey man, you had to do what I had to do.
Damn, man. All right, that's breaking news.
Yeah,
That's a
man.
lot. Okay, no, it's fine, man. You're young, you're impressionable, you're a minor. It's you're listening to your elders. I get it.
Yeah, didn't have a choice. So yeah, but then I wised up. I wised up, bro. But getting back to what I was saying, even though the Colts kind of almost remind me of what we're going through.
Yeah.
And a lot of our fans, you heard them say it, put Howell in. We want to see what Howell has. Well, they know what they have in Foles. Yeah, they know what they have in him. And as they said, this guy was a preseason sensation. I'm not going to say that this is going to be an easy win for us. I am actually nervous because we will take a quarterback like this and turn him into, a freaking Hall of Famer. So by no means, and the fact is the kid has some wheels on him, man. So I'm just because he's out, Ryan is out. No, man. Ellinger, he's okay, man. Now, what we do have on our side is this. I don't care what anybody says. Preseason is one thing. Regular season is something else. So if you can disguise your blitzes, you can disguise your packages, your man on man, see your zones. I think we can confuse him enough to be able to get the rookie jitters out of him to make the mistakes. But at the same time, there's also that other side that he's been in the league for I think 2 years now.
Yeah, he was drafted in 2021. So, just a little bit now, but I agree with you. And I don't want to say frustrated. I wanted to play Matt Ryan. The guy is a statue. He was leading the NFL in turnovers. He's got 12 interceptions. He's been sacked 24 times. That's second most in the league right now. Matt Ryan, to me, is an easier out. You know what he likes to do. You know his tendencies because you've got film on him.
Yep.
Ellinger is an unknown. So the Colts have historically kicked Washington's ass. It's the first time we played them since 2018, but we haven't actually won a game in Indy since 1994. It's been that long. And granted, they had Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. So, I get why they kicked our butts for so long. But, I know you've been to, what is it, the RCA Dome? Is that what it is out there?
Lucas Oil Stadium.
Lucas, okay, yeah. I know you've been out there.
Yeah.
And you've seen games and you've seen all those L's. And I'm hoping that they can get that dub for you this week. I just feel that the win would have been easier to get going against a 37-year-old statue in Matt Ryan, the way our defensive line's playing. What scares me is Ellinger using his legs. And I don't want to say using them like Justin Fields because he's not like that. The guy is big. He's 6'1", 222 pounds. He doesn't have the speed Fields does, but he can extend plays with his legs. In college, he actually, let's see here, he ran in his final 3 seasons for over 1,500 yards on the ground and 31 rushing touchdowns. So he's no slouch when it comes to using his legs. And the problem is we don't have tape on this young man. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jack Del Rio and the defense is going to prepare for virtually an unknown.
It's going to have to come down to mano a mano, man, and who wants it more, and doing everything that we talked about against Hurts and against who's the other quarterback that we faced. Realistically, playing your position so that you can maintain those lanes. You don't want that dude to freaking get outside those lanes, man.
Yeah. And, last week they did a very good job containing Aaron Rodgers and keeping him in that pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So JDR was asked, is it going to be a similar game plan? And this was his response.
And then Sunday you did a lot of 4-man rushes, and just sticking with that, is that a sign of, is it game plan, or is it more just like the confidence you have in that group to handle that kind of situation?
Well, obviously there's confidence in the group to get it done, because that was a large part of the plan. But each week we're game plan specific. Different challenges come up each week, and so yeah, you put together a plan for that game, for that opponent, and then you move on to the next one.
So the game plan versus Aaron Rodgers isn't necessarily going to be the same game plan for Sam Ehlinger and for Kirk Cousins and for Jalen Hurts. It's not how it works in the NFL. You're obviously gearing towards your opponents. But as we said earlier, part of the problem is you don't really know what you've got in this kid. In preseason, he went 24 for 29 for 289 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. And that was preseason against a bunch of guys that aren't in the NFL right now. I mean, he was their third string. Foles was their 2 in preseason. So Ehlinger's going against a bunch of guys that just didn't make it 53, and he's putting up those numbers. So, okay, that's fine. Good for him. In college, in his final 3 seasons, he threw for just shy of 10,000 yards. He had 83 touchdowns and 20 picks, and he had a QBR of 149.8. So, and this is at Texas. It's a good school. They play good teams. So it's not like he's a slouch. It is interesting that he was a 6th-round pick. So he doesn't have the pedigree that you expect. But during today's press conference, I can't remember who asked the question, but people are comparing Ehlinger to Taylor Heineke, talking about how he's a later round pick. He uses his legs to move around, and he's Heineke-esque in his ways that he can kind of extend plays and do things. And he doesn't have the strongest arm. So going and looking at his NFL pre-draft rankings, this was his weakness. He defaulted to hero ball a little too often in 2020. Took too many chances rather than making the smart play. Carries the ball low while scanning in the pocket. Elongated dip and wind release. Gives safeties early jumps by locking in too early. Tightly muscled and some restriction and follow through. Deep balls could use more air and better accuracy. Will take unnecessary sacks by holding the ball too long. And they picked him to be a 6th to 7th round pick. So he's not lighting the world on fire. That's why I'm shocked to see that Frank Wright and them are going to this young man, considering their season's on the line and probably his job. But yet they believe in this guy enough to give him the rock and see what they can do at 3-3-1.
Or that tells you what they think about us.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. Maybe they don't respect us enough to do it with Nick Foles. It would have been, can you imagine what the NFL's thinking right now? You've got Carson Wentz going back to Indianapolis when you put that thing on the schedule. I'm surprised that wasn't a primetime game. You got Jim Irsay talking trash about Dan Snyder. And then now it's turning into, Sam Ehlinger versus Taylor Heineke. No one really cares about that. And, the Snyder stuff and Irsay, that's still going on. But if Hollywood was writing this script, you would say that there was a writer's strike and a bunch of B-listers took over the script, and now they've got this matchup. And it'll be interesting to see. We're 3-point underdogs going into this game.
Yeah.
Which, hey, that's fine with me. I'm happy about that. But JP Finley asked Ron Rivera this past Monday, how do you prepare for a quarterback that you don't have film on? And Rivera said, we're going to have to try and figure out what he does best. We'll have to look at some of the stuff from some of his other games and kind of decide if this is how they're going to use him, what they're going to try to do. So this is how we're going to need to attack it. And it reminds me of the Tampa Bay playoff game. No film. The Bucs had nothing on Heineke, really. I mean, he played a couple of games in the league, but not a ton. Well, we're now in that scenario that Tampa was in, where what does this kid like to do? What are his tendencies? How are they going to use him? Because in the preseason, offensive coordinators don't show real plays. So even the stuff he did in preseason isn't what we're going to see in a regular season matchup.
No, it's not going to be what you're going to see, but you can still see talent. You can still see speed. You can still see functionability. You can still see all of that stuff. So, and he still passes the eye test, no matter what anybody says. Because immediately after they said he's going to be the starter, I went to YouTube, and I'm sure they probably did the same thing, of his highlight film from his senior year up into the preseason games. And the kid can put the ball where it needs to be on time. He can. He made it to the pros. So my biggest thing is, just don't look at this as a gimme type of game. That's my biggest thing.
I'm right there with you. And this is actually what Jack Del Rio said in the challenge of trying to prepare for someone that they don't really know anything about.
Jack, you'll see a quarterback that hasn't played in the regular season. What's the challenge and balance between looking at preseason tape and looking at what they did with Ryan? How do you figure all that out?
Yeah, we do the best we can. Look at all of it. Obviously, last week it was a similar thing for Green Bay to go through, right? I mean, we had Taylor played last year, so maybe a little more history on him, but still, it's very similar in that guys getting an opportunity to play. They like him. He's got some of that grittiness that Taylor does. Kind of a scrappy guy, can extend some plays and do some things. So, yeah, we're gearing up for the challenge. You know, we respect everybody, and certainly, you know, the way they're able to run the football and do certain things. They've got, you know, good receiver talent, and they've got a guy they're excited about getting a look at. And so, you know, we're geared up and ready to go. We've looked at all that, though, you know, I mean, all the way back to looking at draft reports. So, been pretty thorough in terms of getting prepared for him.
And I've got no doubt that they're preparing for him, that they've gone through all the film. It's just the defense has got to step up to the challenge. And they have turned things around from a couple of weeks ago when everyone was screaming, fire Jack, fire Jack. So the defense did not allow Aaron Rodgers a single third down conversion. First time in his career that he didn't have a single third down conversion. And this was by blitzing him only one time. So there are a lot of fans out there, and we put a question out there on, you know, should we be worried about the quarterback change? A lot of people out there are, in my opinion, sleeping on this young man. He is an NFL quarterback. Yes, he's a backup quarterback, but he's still an NFL quarterback, and he's got the talent. He was drafted to play a position. So if there are fans out there, I'm not trying to tell you what to think, but if it's me, there are fans out there that are thinking this is going to be an easy win, that we're going to steamroll these guys. Nothing we have done this season has been easy.
No.
None of our wins have been easy.
Yeah, not at all. And if by chance, could you imagine if Aaron Rodgers would have completed that pass to that lineman and he lateraled back to some speedy guy and they scored a touchdown? Could you imagine that, man? It didn't happen, obviously, and I'm happy that it did. But could you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, it's us. You always wait for the other shoe to drop or the worst case scenario to happen. You wait for your backup shoot to not open. It's us. And how many times, like you said before, have we seen no-namers turn into Hall of Famers in a day? Mm-hmm. I'm just hoping that this defense, and we know hope is not a strategy, but this defense has turned a corner. And this is actually Jay Gruden talking about why the defense has changed. And Jay joins Russell and Medhurst every day on the team, not every day, every Monday on the Team 980. And they ask him a lot of good questions. And we've played these clips before, usually when he's on with Grant and Danny, but this was a clip on Jay talking about the defense.
Jay, I know the competition last year on the schedule was a smidge more elite than it is this year overall. But how does a defense go from giving up 48% on third down to virtually nothing on third down right now? It's really been an amazing 180 for this Washington defense. And also in the fact that, Jay, they didn't stand pat. When you have players that aren't playing well, you go find somebody else. And they made that bold move as well. And it seems to be paying dividends for a defense that was woeful the first couple of weeks, but really seems to be coming into its own right now.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get the right personnel in there that match and play well together. And it also helps you play Chicago, whose offense is horrific, and Green Bay, who struggled mightily the last 4 or 5 weeks. But they're going to have to, rise to the challenge. They're going to play better and better offenses as the season goes on. But to get this confidence and see what they are capable of doing and actually doing it on a Sunday against the Aaron Rodgers is very good for the confidence and the morale for this football team. So moving forward, the standards are set higher and higher and higher. And they better keep playing like it because they're going to have to, because they're going to play some better offenses with some more bona fide weapons.
And this offense isn't better than the Packers offense. I mean, they are ranked 30th in the league. I think they're averaging 16 points a game. They do have a better running back than the Packers do with Jonathan Taylor. And he is back. And granted, he's not lighting the world on fire since he's been back, but he is a threat. And we need to make sure that we account for that. But I think the biggest change, and I'm not sure if you agree with me, but I have a feeling you will, in the defense playing better is the fact that William Jackson III is not out there. He was a liability. They have not given up those 40-plus yard pass plays. They haven't been torched in those big explosives. And it's nice to finally see that the defense is communicating better. And for me, it's also, going back and watching the past film versus the Packers, Jamin Davis has started to really just play ball. And he's another reason why I think his defense has made a complete 180 from what it was the first 3 weeks of the season.
Well, are you a vodka drinker, Ted?
Oh, yeah, man.
Well, a little Grey Goose gets you loose. So, he's come in, man, with his hair on fire, and he's made some mistakes, but he's done a lot of good things. And the mistakes, I believe, come from just not having the playing time, bro.
Oh yeah, he's a rookie.
Yep. And but we brought him in for a reason, and he is paying dividends. And he's making his little mistakes, but I gotta tell you, I'm impressed by the kid, man. I really am. No doubt about it. That guy he's got my vote. He's got my confidence vote, and at the game and then watching the replay at home, yeah, he did have a PI against the Green Bay. I mean, he was over that guy, no doubt about it. But I liked his fundamentals, man. He was on those receivers like flies on stink, man. I mean, he really was. And so we always talk about why don't they make these changes? And it took them to lose 3 games to make those changes and to see how other guys were getting beat. And we talked about it. At some point in time, if you're not performing, this is a pay-to-play league. And if you're not playing right, bench you and let that other guy who will play better in the game. And so we're seeing that. And I'm happy that they made the change. Now, was it truthfully a back injury? Or was it poor performance? I don't know. But what we've seen is since he's been out, Jackson III, the defense has played better. Curl is back. So they always talk about the whole communication aspects of things. So maybe those guys are finally, getting their communication down to a point to where they can truthfully trust that when one guy says I've got, or the call is that he has front quarters and rear, that hey, he can realistically trust his brother, because William Jackson, I don't know, it was weird. He was always out of position. Yeah. And so I just don't understand why that was. But nevertheless, these new guys are the wild goose, he is really being utilized the way he needs to be. And to me, he's paying attention to his film and listening to what the coaches have to say.
Yeah, the one issue I've got with Wild Goose is he's missed several tackles. And luckily, we've got other guys that are in the vicinity that have been able to pick up his slack. It was interesting to see that they elevated Danny Johnson to the 53 from the practice squad. And I'm curious as to why they made that move, because there are no DBs on the injury report because we just went over it. So why did they feel they needed to move him up? And I'm not saying it has anything to do with Wild Goose's performance, because he did have a good game. I don't know what his PFF grade was for the game, but I trust Danny because he's been on this team and he has been in live fire before. And if he does have to step in for whatever reason, that will be fine. And I'm not scared. And, maybe I should be, but I don't think I'm not scared about the Colts receivers. They've got, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Paris Campbell. They've got Mo Alley Cox. They don't have a ton of people on their team that really scare me from a weapons perspective, other than Jonathan Taylor. He's the only person on that team that worries me. And we obviously can't let him get rolling, because then that's going to open up the play action. That's going to suck in your DBs and your linebackers, and then it'll let you to get hit over the top. So that's what I'm hoping we can stop over the week. And we asked a question, you came up with this morning. It's time for our commander's question of the day. And we asked, what does Washington need to do to take command of the Colts? Or should we be worried about the quarterback change in Indy? We got a bunch of text messages, and we actually got a voicemail from our girl Robin that we're going to play here.
Good afternoon from Washington senior fan in upstate New York. And I'm calling in response to the question that you asked of us fans on social media. What does Washington have to do to beat the Colts? In my opinion, it's simple. Play hard, play smart, and play like a team. Hail.
We appreciate you chiming in, Robin. If anyone else would like to chime into the show, feel free to send us a text or leave us a voicemail at 202-677-5860. And I agree with you. They need to play hard. They need to play smart, playing as a team. But that, to me, doesn't guarantee you a win. It doesn't give you the blueprint that you need to make sure you walk out of Lucas Oil Field with that W. I need more than that from my guys to fly home on that jet, hanging out and smiling, personally.
Well, the three that she said, those are fundamentals. And without fundamentals, you'll lose. It's like baking a cake. You got to have eggs. Well, for most cakes, that is. You would know better than me.
So you don't necessarily need to, but yeah.
But it helps. So without eggs, that cake, you still have cake, but it may not taste the same. So with those three hardcore fundamentals, I mean, she's on the right track. But in like anything else, okay, that was her eggs, butter, and milk. Now just put a little sugar in it, stir it up. Now we're gonna add a little something else into it, and we're gonna get there. So good fundamentals, Robin. I'll take it all day.
Yeah, and we actually got a text here from Steve. It says the only thing to be worried about is being overconfident. If we can beat an injured Aaron Rodgers, we can keep a backup in the pocket and get a few picks. And I agree with you, Steve. I mean, overconfidence is what's going to really kill this team. You can't go in here and go into this game. I'm not saying that the team is thinking that, oh, hey, well, we just stopped Aaron Rodgers this past week. We can take on Sam Ehlinger, no problem. It doesn't work that way.
No.
Not at all. And I have faith that John Allen will hold his teammates accountable, because we know basically how he treats it. And if you're dogging it and if you're half-assing it, he'll come at you. I mean, we all saw how that happened in Dallas a year ago.
Yeah.
So he won't let those guys be overconfident. He's not going to let them read the press clippings or just go into this saying, hey, we won 2 games in a row. We barely won 2 games. All right. I'm not trying to rain on everyone's parade, but if you go back and look at that Bears game, We're one Benjamin St. Juice play away from them getting that go-ahead touchdown. You're just talking inches. And just like you said earlier, that lateral from Rodgers, what happens if Terry doesn't get that catch to extend that drive and that first down and eat that clock up? There's a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas. We're not a powerhouse right now that's functioning on all cylinders. So we need to make sure that we treat this as a big matchup like it would have been if we were going against Matt Ryan, not just looking at it softly because we got a young buck in here that had never thrown a pass before.
Well, you said a mouthful. No, we aren't clicking on all cylinders just yet. But we were able to take the car back to the garage and have the mechanic figure out where that ticking noise is coming from and fix that tick for this upcoming week. And that's what I hope that we are able to do.
Yeah, and they fixed that tick this past week at halftime.
Mhm.
Taylor figured out what was wrong, and they asked him again today during the press conference. When you went back and looked at film, is there anything you have changed? He said, no, I made the right decisions in those routes and who I gave the ball to. He just needed to do a better job of getting it there first.
Mhm.
And he needed to stop hesitating and just get that out there. So
stop patting that ball, bro.
I don't think we can ride Heineke to victories. I think it still has to be the same game plan that we had last year during that 4-game win streak. It's riding those running backs and making sure that they take the brunt of the load. And we got a text here from not Commander Rob saying, to take command of the Colts, we need a healthy dose of AG/B Rob. Move the pocket for Heineke with bootlegs, play action, even some RPO would be good. The defensive line pressuring the young QB with only 4 like we did Green Bay, and to limit their run game and Jonathan Taylor. If he plays big, that gives Coach Reich more to work with. HTTC. I agree with him, other than the only rushing 4. I want to pressure this kid. I want to get after this kid because I feel that our back 7, they're playing well. They're able to shut down other receivers right now to a degree. And I've got faith that with Cam Curl back there and Bobby back there, that we can rush a couple of guys. We can get up front. We can maybe bring Jamin on a blitz. I'd love to see that because we got to give this kid some exotic looks that he's just not used to seeing. It's the NFL. It's not college.
That's right. That's right. And you got to disguise, make him think. And the longer he thinks, the longer he'll hold the ball. Or, as they say in a lot of the security world or police officers realm, it'll either be fight or flight. So if you make him think too long, then that means he's going to tuck and run. So we got to the back half has to do their job. And as you said, throw a blitz in occasionally just to get him off his mark.
Yeah, and going back to the weaknesses that the NFL talked about in his draft grade, he carries the ball low while scanning in the pocket. So that means he's got to pull it up even longer to actually get that thing out of there. So that's going to give you time. I would love to see a Montez Sweat strip sack. He's been close. That ball's been out there. Well, you got a young man that has a long windup and a long release. He plays hero ball. I mean, it kind of sounds like Carson Wentz a little bit to me, the way he holds on to that ball too long and the way he holds that ball in the pocket. So we get a chance to go up against someone like that. We can get that ball out of there, and maybe let's get a couple turnovers and win that turnover battle for a change, which we haven't really done since week 1. Actually, week 1, we lost it. So, yeah, we haven't won the turnover battle.
It's coming. It's coming.
Hopefully it's this week. But we got a text here from Robbie saying, to beat the Colts, first we need to get off to a quick start. Secondly, stop the run. After that, when you have a virgin QB, you send pressure often and early. Make him beat you. A battered quarterback is a defeated one. And, Robbie, we just said it a minute ago, pressure this young man. Until he can prove that he can handle it, pressure him. Go after him. It's not Aaron Rodgers that you're going up against. Aaron, you got to worry about him picking you apart. And that's why they didn't really rush more than 4 last week, other than that last play of the game. This young man, I don't have a ton of confidence that he's got the strongest arm after going back and watching. And seeing why people pass on him all the way to the 6th round. So I do agree with you. I think that's what we can do to really make sure Rally's flying home with this dub.
I'm gonna have one way or the other, whether it's in my suitcase or on the scoreboard.
Not talking about that big ass chain, but yeah, I hear you. And we got this text from Dave in Oaktown. He said, number one, just show up. Number two, trust that our head coach, coordinators, players, and rally captain are fully prepared to dominate both sides of the ball. Number three, have as much fun during the game as the people listed above. 4, visualize another victory Monday. 4-4 is a done deal. And I wish I had your confidence, Dave. I am going to go drive to Virginia to go place a bet on the Commanders this week, but I wish I had your confidence that this was a lock, because I don't think it's a lock. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be an ugly game, and we'll see who makes the least mistakes.
Yeah. That's what it's going to come down to. I honestly believe that. Who's going to make the less mistakes and who's going to play penalty-free football? Because we know we've shot ourselves in the foot with that. So if we can clean up on those penalties, I think that we should be okay. But it's not gonna be a give me.
Did Keisha text you and the text number? Because that's pretty much what she just said in her text. She said, we need to stay consistent and don't give up unnecessary points and yardage with the damn penalties.
Mm-hmm. No, she didn't text me. No, that's the first I've seen it.
We really need to play a clean game. We need to make sure that we're not playing the Colts and the Commanders. And what I mean by saying that is, we had 20 penalties in 2 weeks, just a little bit ago. We got to make sure that we're not shooting ourselves in the foot. Don't pull a cheddar bob, and next thing you know, something blows up on you, and all of a sudden the Colts take the lead because you're playing in that dome. We saw how we handled the noise in that dome last time. So we got to make sure we can keep those fans quiet and only give Rally and the Commanders fans out there something to cheer about, not all those Colts fans.
No, but I will say this though, there's going to be a lot of burgundy gold in the stadium, and I can't wait to see all our brothers and sisters out there. I really am. The last time I was there was 2014, I want to say, and we took an L. Andrew Luck was playing against Kirk Cousins, and so our G3 was hurt that particular game, so we didn't win. But I'm hoping to come to Indy and get the dub. I really am.
It's the due theory, man. We haven't won there since 1994. Some of our listeners weren't even born yet. Jeez. So we're about due to get that dub this week. And Steve E says he'd rather focus on stopping their run game and make the quarterback beat us with his arm. Contain is important with their new guy. We need to take advantage of their below average linebackers. And he put JD's breakout game. And I don't know. I'm seeing JD McKissick's snaps drop. I've been on record saying, hey, if we're not going to use him, let's see if we can get someone for him, because he's under contract for another year. So you got an asset that's sitting there because you've only got so many spots on the field, and you're not going to sit a Curtis Samuel or a Terry McLaurin to put into JD McKissick usually. So who knows what's going to happen? I hope somebody's got a breakout game, and I'll let you know who that is in a minute or two with my Woodbridge Collectible Signature Player of the Week. But if we can turn him one-dimensional, then I think we'll have a field day with this kid. But we can't allow Jonathan Taylor to go have steam going.
Now, could you imagine JD getting traded? And he says, I can't believe you sons of guns. I came back to you, and this is how you repay me by trading me. Oh, boy, that would be bad, man. But I hear what you're saying, though. I don't want it to happen. It is a business. I got you. I don't want it to happen, but it's a possibility.
And I doubt it's going to happen because the deadline is November 1st. So, yeah. You know who I'm hearing is potentially on the block is De'Ami Brown, saying that he hasn't lived up to potential here, and we have too many people at wide receiver, and there's a lot of people out there that need wide receivers. So maybe put him out on the block and see if someone will take him, because nobody wants William Jackson III. So if you can dangle De'Ami out there, he's only had 3 catches this entire season and 2 for long touchdowns, but he's only had 3 catches. Maybe get something for him while you can.
That highlight reel means a lot to a lot of teams, man. It just does. And he had 2 long touchdown bombs, and he caught them. So, sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully someone bites, but you got to have someone else to dance with.
Mm-hmm.
And we got this text from James in Baltimore, in Dallas, saying, here's a game we should be able to handle defensively, like Chicago, but way better results to dominate. I would feel a lot better with Ryan starting, and here's why. He's old and crusty. We can get to him. They start the kid, and we have always given new quarterbacks passes. No blitzing or stunning. Our coordinators have not learned to make them have bad days. Now, if Taylor starts off like the second half last week, and this game is ours, like I called it last week, go 4. And I agree with him to a degree. And the degree is we played Matt Ryan last year when he was with the Falcons. We got to him once. We sacked him one time. So it's not a given that we would have been able to get Ryan on the ground. The one thing Ryan has is he's got the quick release.
Mm-hmm.
But earlier in the episode, I said I'd rather be facing Ryan than Ellinger. And that's really just because we got film on the kid or on Ryan. Now, we got here a text from Dwight Smalls, who was actually 15 minutes away from Philly, living in South Jersey. We'll have a good chance to win this game if we stop the run and make quarterback try to pass the ball. And, it's pretty much the same script we're getting from all of our listeners. Shut down the run and force him to beat you with his arm.
Mm-hmm.
And last one here, text from unknown. What do we need to win? What do we need to do to win against the Colts? I've been watching some film on Ol Sam, and he can scramble a little bit, so we need to prioritize containment of him. Our secondary hasn't been all that great this year, but if our D-line can disrupt Sam, then our secondary will have an easy day. Linebackers need to tackle. Stop with all the arm tackling stuff, break down and shut off that run lane and tackle his ass. John Taylor has been in and out of the lineup, so we also have to watch for him. Keep him in the backfield and don't let him bounce to the outside, because if he does, it's good night birdie. Now, offensively, I liked what I saw against Green Bay. B-Rob had a good game, and so did Gibby. If our line continue to play like that and block like that, I can see a little hope in the playoffs, at least a wild card.
Oh.
Taylor, for some reason, brought a volt of energy to this offense that Wentz didn't have. I can tell he's been working in the offseason because that pass to Scary Terry was right on the bucket. And our special teams have been holding up pretty good, so I'm not worried there. So I agree with you a little bit, unknown, but we can't afford to have Joey Sly miss field goals. We got lucky that did not come back and bite us in the ass, because we won by 2 points against the Packers. If the Packers came back and kicked a field goal, everyone's going to go back and talk about Joey Sly leaving those points off the board on the field. And we cannot afford to do that. Yes, Tress Way has been phenomenal, but Tress is always money. And the odds of you getting 3 muffed punts in a row each week, I'm not going to hold my breath on that.
Fingers across, brother. Fingers across.
Christian Holmes is busting his ass on teams and getting down there to recover and just be in position to knock that thing out and do what he needs to do. But, we've got to make sure that we don't settle for field goals or leave this in Joey Sly's leg, because I am not confident when it comes to that young man right now.
No, man. No. I mean, he was our saving grace in Vegas, and that's what I think, for the most part, gave him a spot on the squad, winning in Vegas by a field goal. But after that, it's that whole up and down thing with kickers. And so, the last thing you need is somebody who is unreliable. And right now he's kind of, we just get, my heart beats faster when he comes out on the field, man, even for extra points.
Yeah. I mean, extra points aren't gimmies anymore. And, yes, he's going to be kicking in a dome, so that's nice. It's just knowing he always misses one or pushes one, it just doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies. I need it to not all come down to him. So if we can do better than 1 for 4 in the red zone, that'd be nice this week. But for you, Who is your Woodward Collectibles signature player of the week? Who has to have that key moment to make sure that, like Robin likes to say, we're all smiling on Sunday?
Well, this is going to shock you, but defensive end James Smith-Williams, he has to have a good game. If you've noticed, they really haven't. They've realized that Sweat and trying to run up the middle is not working. So I think they're going to try to exploit his side of the field wherever he is, because sometimes they switch left and right. So I'm a firm believer that James Smith-Williams has to have a great game. He has to rely upon his keys and his training, because I see it, man. I see them running a doggone read option and him biting that quarterback hard, and all of a sudden the running back goes around the side, or vice versa. I just see that bootleg because Sam can get it done with his legs, and they're going to bite on our aggressiveness. That's what they're going to use against us. So I'm not necessarily worried about, like I said, I'm not worried about Sweat. I'm worried about James Smith-Williams. He's got to have a good game.
Yeah, no, you definitely are right. I did not expect you to say James Smith-Williams. And going to his snaps from last week, he ended up playing 78% of the time. I mean, he is out there a decent amount, and he's the other defensive end. He's basically holding Chase Young's spot until Chase is healthy and good to go. And yeah, Montez Sweat has done a good job in run coverage. He's been able to contain and force guys back inside. So if there's a weak spot on that defensive line, it is James. I mean, let's be real. He doesn't have the pedigree that the other guys do. So he does have to have, hopefully that signature play this week, or that signature player this week. And for me, I'm going to take the easy route. To me, it's Terry. He's going home. He has never played in Indy. It's his homecoming. He's got 70 people he has to buy tickets for on Sunday. Basically, anytime Kevin Durant comes back to play the Wizards, he's buying out the lower bowl for all of his family. Terry's doing the same thing this week. And Heineke said it himself. We're paying him a ton of money. Let him go out there and earn it. And I think he's going to have that breakout game that we've been waiting for. Last week was great. He did a good job, but it wasn't a breakout game. To me, I think he has that this week, and we get a chance to hopefully walk out of that stadium with a W. You're shaking your head.
I'm shaking my head because I like everything that you said, no doubt about it. And there is a but, and the but is just don't target the man if he's triple and double covered. That's all I asked. Yes, he is going back home, and a lot of times we tend to force the ball to make that player looks good in situations like that. And we saw him force it to Terry, and I don't want that. So if you need to play Terry up, play him up so they can key on him and go to somebody else. That's the only reason I was shaking my head. I just don't want it to be a situation where you feel you have to go to him because he's playing at home and he has family members there and all the other intangibles that are there. That's the only thing that I don't want.
I hear you. There was a side of Terry that came out last week that we have not seen. He's not the rah-rah, in-your-face, getting his teammates hyped. That's Chase. Terry has, I don't want to say turned a corner, but he's showing us another aspect of himself that I feel is going to be just amplified going to Indy and being there in front of his hometown and his people. And I think he's going to give us that performance we need. And that play, if it's the one I'm thinking you're talking about, where he forced it to Terry, that third down where Heineke closed his eyes, that was designed to go there. That he was the read. And if it doesn't go there, everybody else is covered. There was no one else that was open to extend that. And are the Colts going to adjust and play more zone versus man or vice versa? They're going to adjust. Let's be realistic. We just got to make sure that we adjust just like Terry did when he came back for that ball and fought for it to make sure that we got that first down in crunch time. And what do you think the score is going to be this week? Obviously, I'm taking the Commanders. I think, I don't want to speak for you, but I think you are as well. What do you think it's going to end up with?
Well, last week I said that it'll be a 3-point game. This week it's going to be a 4-point game, 21-17.
I don't mind that, man. I don't mind that. I'm going to go 24-13 Commanders. I think we're going to get a chance to relax. I think we're going to have a defensive touchdown this week. And I think that Antonio Gibson, not Brian Robinson, is going to lead the day in yardage for us, and he's going to ice this thing out. That's what I'm hoping.
Not, you see what you just did, Ted? You said, I think we're going to be able to relax. See, you just did it, man. You just do it. I don't want us to relax. That's not the mentality that we need, brother. But hey, we're going to close this show out. And as I always tell you guys, we greatly appreciate you being with us, because you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to tune in to us at the DMV Mess Hall. Make sure that you continue to tell your friends, to have them subscribe. Check us out. It goes a long way with us. And for the Washington Commanders versus the Indianapolis Colts, Tailgate Ted, Rally Captain, we're going to be out.